I mean, yeah, like the first trophy is a little bit of an illusion, but yeah, I mean, that's the one that you're allowed to have and keep, and you should be proud of that, and you're super fans. But we are loaded now into the game, where the real action is about to begin. And spawning. I have a tad of lag. Hopefully the players are not experiencing that. But spawning in the bottom right-hand side of the map for NV, the greatest animal named player of all time. For Goat and the gang, it is the Hitman, Bunny.
Bunny was part of my war chest, what was it called? War chest team league a couple years ago. No brain, no pain back then. And he was good. And he told me in Katowice I have to pick him again because he's absolutely amazing at this point. And to be fair, he has been absolutely amazing for your team. 7-0 in the regular season. He's been a stud. But unfortunately, all winning streaks must come to an end. And it's going to end right here, right now, against my Chinese boy that's been absolutely popping off in the last 2 playdays. Top left side of Curious Minds. We're looking at the main base, the best Chinese StarCraft 2 player of all time. It's time.
Yes, sir. And Time is already doing a little bit of a proxy, Roddy. So maybe not displaying the highest amount of confidence here, as he did lose last time around against Bunny. So now he's coming off with, a little bit of a cheap shot, trying to steal a win, basically, right?
I actually think it's extra confidence. He just wants to get into the face of Bunny. He knows his micro is better. He knows the follow-ups are better. He knows Bunny just likes to cut corners, and every now and then you have to you have to punish the greedy Terran players out there. Gabe makes a living out of streaming every single day and punishing greedy Protoss players, and Time is just going to punish a greedy Terran player over here. I can get behind it.
Yeah, well, we'll see if he's able to accomplish that. He has 2 Reapers in production. One is going to come from the main, so it's going to be a little bit late. But yeah, I think Bunny should be fine. He's been opening with a lot of Hellions a lot of the time in this matchup. And against Time in particular, I think he did that before, where he went up to 6 Hellions or something like that. So the timing window, I think, if there's going to be one, is going to be pretty narrow. And Bunny, being the greatest animal name player of all time, of course, is going to hop around and look for the barracks. He's going to find it.
Yep, he is going to find it, but that also means that his Reaper is in an awkward spot. Time is already in the natural off-bond. A first blood has been drawn. Kensu on the command center. That's the way we kick off our semi-finals. The scout was good, but it was a day late and $1 short. And I think Time already got what he's looking for, and maybe we're gonna get a whole lot more.
We'll see, because that was a confident, I think, move from Bunny to cancel the CC instantly, right? Like, he knows that he's going to be able to break through, checks the timing on the SCV, knows that the bunker's not going to finish, of course, moves out at the proper time, and he instantly starts his CC on the high ground. So it's an issue of, yeah, he loses a little bit of money in the cancel, but your boy loses a little bit of money, if not more than Bunny lost, by virtue of proxy in the first barracks.
It's all part of the plan. We're gonna drop our command center on location. Yours is stuck in the main base, has to float over. By the time that your natural is up and running, mate, Bunny is on the verge of tapping out, I'm afraid. Like, he's like, damn it, I'm this far behind.
No, you learned your math. But like, this CC is so far ahead, right? Like, so he's gonna be able to morph that into an orbital command. He's gonna accumulate energy, and by the time it lands, they're gonna be pretty much even. Only I'll have more energy to work with, so... Yeah.
Not even close, mate. And we're gonna land the barracks. It's gonna prevent that command center. Like, what's gonna happen? A couple of Reapers and Hellions gonna shoot at the barracks? It's never going to happen.
That would have been a great move, actually.
Yeah. It's a very tanky building. I would have actually not hated it. All right, we're gonna get maybe a skirmish in the center of the map. There's obviously a Cyclone on the side of Time. Cyclones are tanky boys. We want to be careful with our Reapers. We know where the army is at. Cyclone shows up. This has to be a good fight for the Cyclone player. So we got a Reaper kill. We got another Reaper kill. We got almost a Hellion kill, but still a 2 Reaper for 1 trade. Not bad.
Yeah, that was very fortunate for Time that the Cyclone was showing up when it did, because Bunny scouted the army and he feels confident moving on forward with the greater number of Hellions. He thinks that he can take those units, but as soon as the Cyclone hits, the equation changes a little bit. So good job by Time there.
I like how you say it was very lucky that the Cyclone showed up. That's what he's hoping for, CatZ. That's part of the strategy. It's a strategy game. Of course the Cyclone is going to show up there. Otherwise, he wouldn't be there in the first place. Everything is going according to plan at this point.
Yeah, donates 1 Reaper there. Reveals where the Reapers are. At the same time, something happened in the natural base as well. Something died, I want to say. What was that, Wardy? What was that? Is the Cyclone dead?
The barracks died.
Oh,
That's what
okay.
you're talking about.
Well, we good with that. Yeah.
Okay, so the Medevac is... This is actually going to get a little bit wild. Maybe we can get some lock-ons. Obviously, that Medevac does have a lot of potential. Time needs to be careful. The tank on sieges. Maybe we can lock on some tanks. Time. We have to make up our mind. Because our doors are wide open at home.
Yeah, this
is
is
so wild.
nasty good for Bunny, I think, because Time doesn't know that he can move in, and he should expect that there's a tank guarding the front of Bunny. So terrible position from Time here is going to make it so that Bunny is able to sneak out, and by the time Time realizes, he's going to have to pull back potentially into an already sieged line from Bunny.
Well, at least we're kind of taking care of that drop in the main base, but we are definitely starting to fall economically behind. The Medevac is going to be maybe in a bit of trouble against the two Cyclones. Cyclones are looking for it. Double lock-on. Medevac goes down. Yes.
Yeah.
But now the Cyclones are in a very awkward spot as well, because Bunny's army is here and Time is not quite expecting that. Can we salvage this? No, the Raven! What are we doing with the Raven, mate? No.
Okay, well, the Raven sacrifices its life so that the other units can live, right? Because otherwise Bunny, I think, could have cut those units and cornered them in the top right-hand side of the map. So Time is doing what he can now, struggling to find an opening and try to poke at Bunny, but Bunny is much too powerful. So he already has a tank in position, and he's going to flank these Cyclones that are now in the middle of nowhere for Time. And surely we'll get a good trade here.
Well, actually, he hasn't killed anything yet. Loses two of the very basic units, but it does feel that Bunny is just somehow has Time's number. Cyclone trades there, one Cyclone apiece. Tries to lock on the Raven, but that's not going to work out. Obviously, not exactly the early mid-game that we were hoping for. Our third orbital is faster, and Bunny does sometimes get a little bit overly aggressive. I think it all could have been worse for Time, but I'd be lying if I said I love where we are at 7 minutes and 20 seconds into this game, especially the Raven loss. If we didn't lose the Raven, I wouldn't be too upset as spaghetti, but the Raven loss was very unnecessary.
That is huge. Yeah, I think it was Dream earlier that kind of threw by utilizing the Raven energy. This is a very similar situation where Bunny's going to be able to disable a couple of extra tanks that Time cannot work with. So that should be huge if he wants to try to breach into this third location. And I don't see a reason for which he wouldn't.
Tank count is 4 against 6, so Bunny already has a 2-tank advantage. 2-tank advantage and a Raven advantage. One more tank is going to pop though for Time, so we are closing that gap a little bit, but I'm just so worried about the Ravens. Ravens are so godlike in this phase of the game. And Bunny having a full Raven advantage is massive. Now being the aggressor can be difficult.
Yeah, but not that difficult, as 2 tanks will go down on the side of Time. He's forced to siege one of his tanks to just protect the natural base expansion. One of these supply depots is also exposed. And it looks like Bunny wants to go for it. He's going to disable the 2 remaining tanks. No, only energy for 1. The rest of the tanks are not partaking, but the Vikings will land and get rid of one of the last remaining tanks here for Bunny, for Time. I think that Bunny can just reposition the rest of his army and make sure that he gets rid of the SCVs and the third location as he establishes his own. Things are looking beautiful for the MVP of the league so far.
Things are looking quite bad. Vikings are going to land. We're going to try to get on top of these tanks on the low ground. We're going to pull the boys. Time is doing his best, but losing 24 SCVs and not even winning this fight means that this game is all over, and Bunny will keep his undefeated record intact. Ravens are so good, mate. The Ravens are so damn good in that phase of the game, and you could really see the power. The energy there. The Matrix is just allowing Bunny to get like 3 or 4 tanks for free, and at that point it's not even a fight anymore.
Yeah, not at all. So that was, I mean, a beautiful display from Bunny. I feel a little bit bad because I feel like the first time that they faced each other it was a little bit closer, but this time around Bunny really showing the dominance. And you know, you mentioned the 3-0. I think that that's likely. Yeah, I mean, I don't want to see it, you know. I want to see Serral play and stuff, but yeah, gotta message our boys, tell them to step it up a little bit.
It's okay. It's okay. It happens. Next up, Rainer. Rainer is gonna get us back on the track that we entered this morning. A long journey towards the final, and it wouldn't be fun to make it to the final without a little adversity. Like I said, at 3-0, it was possible, it was written in books, but I am happy to see that Bonnie at least can also take a trophy home today. And that is the fact that he went undefeated in the cast, the Civil War. Because he doesn't have to play anymore after this.
Right. I mean, yeah, that would definitely be impressive if he continues to go undefeated. I don't think this is the end of Bunny's run, but yeah, I mean, your favorite here on paper, it's Raynor, but it's also Armani. It's a CVC. It's a short rush distance map, and we got server advantage.
Yep. I haven't had server advantage all season long. I really don't know what I've done to Wardy, but
Right.
according to Wardy, it's possible to lose 17 coin flips in a row. Now, if I would have never set foot in a casino, I wouldn't believe that that's true. I have, so I know that is true. But yeah, server advantages is, but that's not going to stop my boy Raynor, okay?
Yeah, I mean, this is not even a coin flip, as I understand that it's just an issue of seeding. And
yeah, but the reason why you have the seeding advantage is because I lost every coin flip in the regular season.
Right. What was the score in the regular season? Did we 4-1 you or 3-2?
4-1, I think.
So it seems like you needed more than a coin flip there.
Let me take a look. Yeah, I remember we had one very ugly day against the War Picks. And I think we played Godin again on that day as well. Taking a look. Or did we play you guys in the very beginning?
It was the very beginning, I think.
Yeah, 4-1. And we got Raynor DNS in back then. So Raynor won, and you won the other 4 matches. And Bunny also defeating Time in that one. Also on Curious Minds.
Yep. And now it's Raynor. I mean, talk to me. Why Raynor on Berlingrad? What were you guys thinking was going to happen here? Before it all backfires.
Sorry. I am distracted by some of the things happening in my own channel. Text speech is on and it was going right over you. But I assume that you hyped up my boy Raynor and you said that even though you love Armani, you think that Raynor is going to get a relatively convincing victory here. And I agree with you.
I was asking why Raynor here on Berlingrad, actually, but
okay.
We can jump.
Well, because we kind of thought that maybe Serral would have the guts to come out second. So we could have a little ZZ for the fans, a little rematch of the Intox 3 Masters Katowice. Or we were hoping that Lambo would be willing to finally get rid of Pride of Altaris. But, you know, it's okay. We just wanted to get a win on the board in map 2. And it didn't really matter who came out from your side. So let's get it on in the top left side of Berlingrad. We are down 0-1, so we absolutely need to win this one if we want to keep our hopes and dreams alive of making it into the grand finals of this fantastic tournament organized by Wardy. He is spawning in orange, representing the RotterdaM Admirals. It's Raynor.
Yeah, but maybe you should have kept the No Brain No Pain name, because Raynor's kind of gambling pretty hard here, and a 12 pool most likely with a drone pool follow up. And look at my boy Giorgio in the bottom right hand side, the greatest player to ever be named after a fanciful brand of clothing. It is Giorgio Armani, and he has the counter, my boy.
Yeah, I don't like where this is going. I don't like where Raynor is 12 pulling, but it's okay. I can see Armani messing things up in one way or the other. So you think Raynor is also going to drone pool? You think that's on the tables?
Yeah,
I think looking at the way that he's selecting his drones, I think you're right. Or
yeah, because just the regular 12 pool is kind of weak. So oh, but he expanded. Okay, it's just a regular 12 pool. So just a gut check here, maybe anticipating that Armani could 12 pool drone pool. Lambo was saying that Raynor doesn't have a good time holding that type of strategy on the shorter maps. So maybe Raynor thinking and playing to his disadvantage on that front and thinks, okay, I'll just make the links, and if you do the 12 pool drone pool, then I just win. And you know, 12 pool, you can work your way out of it. So not the worst, but Giorgio has the perfect response here.
Yeah, I mean, build order-wise, this is still not pretty, though, whether we are drone pulling or not. In this case, we are expanding, but Raynor now obviously knows that Armani has gone spawning pool before hatchery. A little link fight in the natural. Seemed like it went about even, right? 2 links going down on either side. Raynor needs a little more, and Zergling speed is on the way. Baneling Nest is going to go down as well for Armani, as he's still mining gas. Yeah, Raynor is going to need all the queens, all the spines. And can we ever get a wall off? Is that possible? Like, the problem is Raynor has so few drones. Oh my god, I'm worried.
He's going for the hatchery. I think, yeah, he can click it right now. I think he will get it, actually, which is terrible for Armani. So, yeah, I mean, a little bit of a miscalculation there. He thought that the 3 initial drones bought him enough time. But having lost those Zerglings, not enough firepower there to follow through. So all of a sudden things look pretty good for Raynor, but he still has to hold. It's not going to be easy.
I'm definitely not not celebrating yet. Like, getting the edge kill is good. It's gonna put Armani even more all in than he was probably already going to be. But being all in, if you get the victory, is not a big deal. Raynor is getting one spine up in the main base, but this is going to be hard, man. Like, queens on the ramp, maybe. What is he going to do? I would say put the
he already has
on the
3
ramp.
queens too. Yeah, he should probably hold with some queens on the ramp. I think he's gonna walk down the actually spine on the ramp is actually brilliant too. So I think the setup from Raynor is really strong, actually. This is pretty cool as well, allowing the queens to have less surface area with that Evo chamber. And Armanic's gonna try to run in, but he's gonna run into a spine. Still, he should run past it, and yeah, he don't know, no, Banelings, go back!
Nice.
Idiot Baneling. And that one should not have gotten taxed. Like, it should have just kept running forward. Having an extra Baneling inside the main is so huge. Armani has to micro that one the hell away from those queens.
Yeah, queens are... One queen is going to get surrounded. Target fire is used. There is one more Baneling morphing in the top right side. Raynor does have his eye on it. He knows that it's about to finish up.
No,
the queens can pick it up. The queens can pick it up. Now we can fight with the drones as well. Lings and drones and queens as soon as they are back on creep. Obviously, there's still that safety spine near the ramp. Sick defense by Raynor, man. I was so worried, but this is actually textbook, man. Putting on a clinic. I can't believe it. And now he actually has a little counterattack. The slow Ling counterattack. Something you rarely see. We could get another cancel on this hatchery, baby.
I mean, yeah, this game's over. You're just getting hyped for the end, but yeah, it's super over. I mean, Giorgio messed up on multiple points here. Like, the hatchery should never go down with the setup that he had. He had 6 links to answer against 6 links. That should have been good enough. And then you know, he had a decent counterattack, gets inside of the main of Raynor, which looks good with 2 Banelings, and ends up having 3 inside, but 2 of them go down to queens out of creep, right? Which just shouldn't happen, because you know they can barely move.
Yep, that one misclick was very painful, because otherwise it'd be a bit tricky for Raynor, his links, to get close to the links of Armani. Splitting the drones on US West could have been a bit complicated, so one little misclick and the Banelings connect in a big way with all the drones, and it would have been disaster. Man, what a beautiful hold. I really did not think, like, obviously killing the hatch was nice. I was still so worried, but I love the temporary wall off with the Evo chamber, love the positioning, love the spine crawler going up in the main base, then moving it towards the ramp. Textbook, man. Absolute textbook defense. This is so beautiful.
Yeah, so Armani's gonna try to take a third here and try to play for you know, like, basically real estate and transition into having just enough roaches to stop Raynor's attack. But Raynor's attack is gonna hit strong, probably with upgrades and maybe with roach speed as well. I assume a lair should be going down soon, and it's gonna be extremely difficult, I think, for Armani to hold that attack. There's the lair.
Yep, one Overlord is close to going down. Queen is on a real journey. This Queen in the center of the map desperately wants that Overlord. One more hit is going to do it, so Armani does get one Overlord of Raynor. I think that's nice for your team. Arguably one of the last few units that you guys are going to kill in the semifinals. Next up, I mean, geez Louise, harassment this season. I mean, is DNS going to Cannon Rise? Is he contacting Coco for a cheesy build? Because straight up against the captain in this shape, DNS has to know that there is no way.
I mean, DNS has completely overperformed most people's expectations. I think when I picked him, it wasn't even on people's radar. It was like kind of like, oh, DNS, I guess he is in the player pool. But he's done fantastic here, and you know, I think that he feels confident against HearthStone. I think that it's a 50-50 in my mind. So we'll see what happens there. Of course, this match is not technically over yet.
Oh, come on.
But again, it's gonna be extremely.
It was over in the lobby, CatZ. You know it. I know it. Giorgio Armani knew it. When he saw Raynor hop into that player's slot, he's like, well, CatZ, you've done me dirty on this one.
Yeah, it's definitely not looking pretty. And yeah, I mean, Raynor's just gonna go for the timing that we were talking about, and Armani has caught up in workers, but that's at the expense of everything else pretty much. He does have the real estate, so technically if he can hold somehow, I mean, he's only a little bit behind in terms of upgrades, right? Like if his upgrades actually kick in, the roach speed namely, because he's actually ahead in range attacks, so that's kind of surprising. But he has 3 roaches to 16, right? Like therein lies the problem. So if he can hold though, He'll be fine.
Economically, he's not doing that bad. Timing of the third, he's not doing that bad. He's getting a spine crawler up. Upgrades pretty good. Roach count, he's suffering.
He is suffering, but Raynor hasn't moved out yet. And about now is when he wants to move out. Both of his upgrades are about to finish. The Lynx are poking and kind of teasing Raynor a little bit more than they should, because that's gonna force him to move out. And yeah, they're in kicks at the roach speed. And yeah, I mean, yeah, that's it. Can Armani hold? He does have a spine.
He does have a spine. He's even going to morph a couple of Desperation Banelings. Raynor's just going to start working on that hatchery. The slow Link's going to show up one more time. Why the hell not? Raynor is now going to force to take the 5. We're going to split a little bit against the Banelings. Beautiful splits. Is he playing on the European server? Did I finally win a coin toss party? No, I didn't, but it's not going to stop Raynor. He is still just dominating.
Spine is burrowing. I mean, the hatch is alive.
Hey,
yeah.
CatZ, I know you've been up for a long time. Come on, come on now, it's time, amigo. Wave that white flag. Let's get ready for some PvP. Nah, pretty good.
It would be cool. It would be kind of cool if I could throw in the towel. I'm not sure. Look at the supply. Look at this.
I would throw him the towel right now to protect my fighter. Like, he's gonna take some unnecessary damage here for the rest of his career. We don't want to do that. Let's go back to the gym, back to the drawing board. We come back stronger.
Armani failing to get that Ravager, survives barely with any HP. Those output a lot of DPS, but the roaches that step forward do pick off the Ravager. I think when I looked at the supply starting this fight, I'm like, well, okay, well, Armani must have some sort of advantage. Like, I'm surprised that he made it as close as this fight looks.
Spine.
Yeah.
Raynor is bringing over the spine crawler from the early game, and Armani sees the spine. He's like, all right, that's it. If CatZ won't protect me and won't throw in the towel, I will myself. Gave the referee a hug there, and he said, all right, that's it. That is all I can take today. GG. I have to admit, memes aside, that actually was close, and that was really scary. Armani did about as good as he could have done after the early game went disastrous, but Raynor fortunately closing it out. But man, that early game hold by Raynor was marvelous, CatZ. And legitimately, I don't think Raynor could have done any better. Of course, it was helped a little bit by that misclick of Armani bringing the Banelings back in range of the Queens. That was the misclick of the game for sure. Jeez Louise, I'm glad we dodged that bullet, baby.
Yeah, I mean, the build, it was a build order win for Armani. So starting from that, and then those Banelings were extra bad. Like you said, like if those Queens have 2 Banelings to focus, they can actually zone out the Lynx, and the Lynx can actually kill the Lynx of Armani can actually kill the Queens. But because there was just one single Baneling to focus, as soon as it gets in range of the Queens, they just focus it and they never get to the Lynx, and the Lynx of Raynor never have to be displaced or microed away. So yeah, it was pretty sad. Armani in my chat is saying, build, win, lose, TT.
All right, then I will just reply what Raynor said. It's okay. Raynor said, laughing my ass off, 260 ping, blind counted, and still got clapped. and then he also told me, now he's tagging me. He's like, tell me I don't deliver after that, dickhead. Because he showed me a picture of his ping and it was 246. Oof. You delivered, matey. You delivered. I'm very proud of you. Time also chipped in and he said, ay. I'm sorry, guys. His TVT is better than me. So he's giving all the props to Bunny. And yeah, I got to give it to Bunny, man. He's playing like a stud at the moment.
He really is. What's the next server? Do we know?
Europe, I think, right? We're going to do some PvP?
Oh, Hypers. That's... Oh, Hypers. Yeah, I'm not sure because you submitted the wrong order as Wardy was...
Oh, yeah. But I think is it PvP on Hardwire or
Europe? Is it the PvP now? I think
it's time for my captain, baby.
All right.
One of the many captains. The man that inspired the team name. I feel like I have a friend list issue, Waddy. I don't see you. Battle.net issue. I don't know what's happening.
Oops.
All right, here we go. So somebody on my stream says, I want to see the picture of Raynor's ping. Here you go. West 246. So Raynor apparently definitely had very high ping, but you know, not even Wardy can stop us, CatZ. And if not even Wardy can stop us, they're not gonna stop us either.
Yeah, we'll see about that. Are we on EU?
Yes, we are on EU. we are hopping into Hardwire. But yeah, the Europe server was acting up for me as well, mate. You probably have the same thing as me. Like my entire friend list was gone. I couldn't find Wardy, but in the end I made it. And you made it too, I see.
Yeah, I joined Kellasur's lobby. He's already in the lobby of Pride of Altaris. He said, "Oh, I thought I was fourth."
Diego's ready, mate.
Yeah.
I mean, it is
staring at the map there.
Are you a little worried that it is Sunday afternoon and you've got Lambo on your team? I cannot recall the last Saturday where Lambo wasn't smoking and drinking all night. Probably ultra hangover. The man probably can breathe. So a little worried.
No, Lambo the King is ready, and so is DNS. I don't know. You're brushing past this match as if the captain is gonna surely take it. I think that this is a fitty, straight down the line.
No, I am I have a lot of love for DNS. I was a bit surprised as well when you picked him because I think there were a couple of really good picks left because you had the pick right of the drafting round. Number 40. Gerald was still in it, and we saw yesterday in the match between Beowulf and Steadfast that Gerald is really good. Goblin was obviously still available, and I think Gobbus is very good at the moment. Drogo was still available, and I think Drogo, DNS, historically, I lean a little more towards Drogo, but obviously DNS has his moments. You went with DNS, and he absolutely delivered for you in a big way. I was very impressed by his performance throughout the season.
Yeah, I think historically that's true for Drogo, and all of those players that you mentioned are, of course, fantastic players in their own right. But yeah, we kind of brainstormed. We thought that we wanted a Protoss, and we named the Protosses. We named everyone that was left, basically, that was worth picking, and it was kind of a joint decision from RotterdaM and Lambo also supporting it. It was between DNS and Diego, and then you picked Diego. Yeah, so...
What do you mean with RotterdaM? Why were you discussing things with RotterdaM?
I said RotterdaM, I meant Serral and Lambo.
Ah, okay. You're like RotterdaM and Lambo. I was like, what?
I didn't even realize I said that. Wow.
Is RotterdaM dancing with your party too? Is he cheating on me? Because he was already in my Discord at that point. Our relationship was established, okay?
Yeah, but DNS has been doing really good in the root tournament circuit, and just overall, like, I've been following his results a little bit more closely, so, you know, I know that he has been popping off, and yeah, when it came to deciding between the 5 or so, he was one of my favorites to pick, and the boys agreed, so it was perfect.
So RotterdaM went 5 and 2 in the regular season. DNS, did he go 3 and 4, or was it even 4 and 3 that he went? 3 and 4. But yeah, he got big wins for you guys. Because he got wins on the days where Serral didn't deliver, so that was massive.
Yeah, absolutely massive. And I wanted to snipe Diego with DNS on Pride because I thought that was gonna be the matchup that was gonna happen on Pride. But yeah, we got RotterdaM, which was I also like this matchup, to be honest.
If you wanted Diego against DNS, we could have just made a gentleman's agreement. I would have taken that. I believe in my boy Diego. He's got some fine TVP.
Yeah, Diego's great, but he hasn't performed in this league. You know, I think the pressure is probably getting to him. You were talking about how he grows because the team's the team's behind him, and he feels like he's playing for the team. Maybe he feels that too much because he hasn't performed, you know, to the standard that I think everyone holds Diego to.
I mean, he wiped the floor with Nightmare against Benny and the boys. The most important match of the season. Yeah.
Nice.
He's basically responsible for eliminating Benny and the boys. Because if Nightmare would have beat Kalazur, then Ben would have had one more win. And we were already, I think, pretty much safe at that point, but it could have still been somewhat gnarly. And we would have had a lower seed as well going into the playoffs, but he did win that one. And today against Cure, he had a rough start, but he really turned it into one hell of a game. He made it work for it. I have nothing but love for Diego, and I'm proud of him. And I think, especially against Hangover Lambo on the Sunday afternoon, I think he's going to be totally fine.
Yeah, I think we also eliminated Benny and the boys. And in fact, DNS lost, never mind. All right, spawning in the bottom. Wait, am I doing my player? I'm just gonna do it. Spawning in the bottom left-hand side. The French player with the most successful French player of all time with 3 letters in his name. Maybe asterisk on thought. It's DNS.
In the top right side of Hardwire, we're looking at the main base of the captain himself. Outside of this tournament, of course, representing the Shopify Rebellion. He's been phenomenal for us throughout this season. 5-2 in the regular season. He's our captain, one of the admirals. It's harassment.
Yeah, he's not gonna be scouting Harstem, so DNS is gonna get the scout off. And what does the scout do in this matchup, Roddy? That's so important because I see double gateway opening pretty much like 90-something% of the games.
I think it's just in case Harstem would have gone for a pylon on the low ground and potentially a one gate fast expand. And if I am Harstem, I always get a little bit nervous as well when a pylon shows up this quickly. This is actually a pretty good map for cannon rushes. Now, I know DNS is not like a big time cannon rusher or anything, but when I see a probe this early, I'm like, okay, we're fine. You know, just in case, keep a close eye on it. And obviously you can be annoying with it, but at this point it didn't do too much for DNS other than confirm that things are normal. As Harstem, feels like a proxy Stargate to me. Are you vibing with me on that one?
Yeah, very likely. DNS does scout the lack of a pylon right away, though. He knows that his second pylon is well finished, and so there must be a proxy somewhere. And it is a Stargate indeed. You called it, Roddy, and you know, it's one of the two things that it can basically be. So DNS is gonna have to scout around and just confirm. But yeah, I mean, he does get the proxy information at least.
Yeah, but throughout the last, let's say, 5 to 10 PvPs that I've seen of Harstem does often proxy the second pylon, but it's not always with a tech structure there. So sometimes it's just a pylon. That's kind of the old school Korean PvP logic, right? Where you want to confuse your opponents. DNS does have a little pylon finishing up. Beautiful. And Harstem even starting the 2 Zealots here, right? Like making it seem like, oh, I'm gonna go for 4 units immediately, mate. Like, you should be very worried. Is he gonna let the pylon finish up? No, he doesn't. Harstem can now cancel the Zealots and can still expand quickly. DNS also going for a Stargate, though. So this is going to be very hit or miss. The Stargate of Harstem is going to be quicker. It all comes down to the stalker positioning. But DNS, I don't think is totally sure
Battery,
this is a proxy Stargate. Ooh, he's gonna find that adept, though.
Yeah, he finds the adept off sync with the other adept that was kind of delayed by the pylon earlier, and there is also a shield battery in the main, right? So I think DNS should be fine here.
That battery, I don't know if it's going to be up in time. I think if Harstem just full sense right now with everything, immediately... no, it's just going to finish up right on time. Okay, we get 1. We get 2. We get 2. No. Okay, we get 2.
Yeah, we got 2. I'm surprised that DNS still commits for the Oracle here, and Harstem's gonna get the full scout on that. He's gonna need his own shield battery if he doesn't already have it. Yeah, he's already got it pretty much finished.
Yeah. And we also went for a safety Phoenix, so that one Phoenix can just get on top. I actually don't hate the idea of going 1 Oracle into a Phoenix and just take the game from there. We were a little bit sloppy with our 1 Adept, but that's okay. Harstem just needs to make sure that we don't lose too many probes here. We're gonna lose 1. And now we can force a recall. We can force a recall. If he has recall.
Yeah, he's gonna go to the corner and recall to get away from the stalker fire as well. So that's something. Both players kind of just transition into blink, so the game is most likely gonna stabilize. There's a second Oracle heading towards Harstem's base, but without joining with the other Oracle that was just recalled, he's not gonna have any kill potential. So thinks better of it and backs away. I like that.
So I'd say relatively even after 4 minutes and 35 seconds. DNS had like a 1-2 worker lead, but it really just comes down to whenever the probes pop. But overall, I don't see too much potential in the oracles of DNS anymore because of the shield battery. As Harstem is going to try to get lucky with his oracle one more time. Takes quite a bit of damage on it. Only got a single probe, but it's okay. I'd say this is a very even game, and I think Harstem saw those stasis traps go down as well. So he knows he needs to be careful in the net.
Yeah, for sure. At the same time, I think those stasis traps are likely to just expire eventually, right? Because I don't see Harstem moving out anytime soon. They are just very, very mirrored. Harstem's going to be going for a faster third, however. So that is going to be a slight deviation here.
Yep, and I don't think there's a whole lot that DNS can do about it. Even if Harstem only has 1 oracle, it's still something you need to respect. And you don't really want to leave the probes in your natural exposed at this point, so moving out is not really an option for DNS. We're just gonna go into Blink versus Blink. This is kind of Harstem's bread and butter in this day and age. I think he's very good in these kinds of games. I'm often a bit worried about like random dark shrines. DNS is going to build a gateway on the right side. I hope that the Phoenix and Oracle move down a little bit, then we can see it. Is DNS going for 2-base aggression here?
It seems like it. I mean, there is no sign of a third, but there's only 3 gateways out. Is that enough? It is only 1 extra gateway as compared to Hearthstone.
Yeah, but he's going to go up to 4, though. 4 gateways. Okay, this could be a big scout for Hearthstone. Even if he doesn't see the gateway, he sees the army here. And that's already a little whoa moment. Like, okay, Hearthstone's still just building probes and building a fort. Did he just reveal the warpins or something? Did we... I don't know.
I don't think he saw the warpins, no.
Okay, we can blink and kill the oracles. Hearthstone yet blink? I would have loved to see it, but obviously the doors are open.
Oh,
this is kind of terrifying.
We can blink, and we took a stalker there. Now DNS knows the number of stalkers that he has, so he had enough to one-shot. Not anymore, as these two join the fight. He might again, but with a shield battery overcharge and 1 or 2 stalkers dying, he's not gonna have the power to continue to... Oh, he can blink, he can blink.
Hearthstone can also blink. Hearthstone should probably... Oh, careful. Oh my goodness. I mean, DNS definitely has some potential here. More HP on the stalkers of Hearthstone, but Hearthstone still needs to respect those oracles. Probes are going to temporarily be pulled. Beautiful. Cole's finding some success in the main base. Hearthstone definitely in trouble. Forward blink by DNS. DNS is going to try to end it here.
Oh, baby! Sudden. I thought Hearthstone was going to fight it out for a little bit longer, but you love to see it. I mean, you know. It is what it is.
Oh, that's so sad. DNS with the 4 gateway aggression. Obviously, he was going up to 3 bases. Did a very good job in not throwing away the oracles, because the oracles is what makes this such a difficult defense for Hearthstone. If Hearthstone doesn't have to worry about those 2 oracles, you can just focus on the stalker fight. And even if you have 1 or 2 stalkers less, it's obviously all very doable. But those 2 oracles still being alive, giving Hearthstone something to worry about. And then pulling a lot of units out of position. And DNS, of course, with slightly more units than Hearthstone expected. Because I don't think Hearthstone really expected the 4 gateway aggression of the base and slightly later 3rd. Well done by DNS. Man delivers again.
Beautiful job by DNS. I mean, hurting the stalkers of Hearthstone as well from the 3rd to the natural. There was always like a little bit of taxing when those stalkers wanted to move in between. So he knew when to link forward. He knew when he had just, more stuff, and capitalizes on that with the oracles in the back and closes it comfortably. So very sudden games, not the most exciting. It seems like so far this clan war has delivered in terms of just raw what the fuck that game just ended, but not so much in terms of the quality of the games. These players are a little nervous, and CatZ, I mean, he has to be shaking right now.
Yep, all the pressure is on CatZ, his shoulders, playing a TVZ on Pride of Otaris. Talking about a mountain to climb. Oh, that's so sad. That is so sad. We absolutely... looking at this one, obviously, I really did feel like we needed at least a 2-1 lead. Ideally, just win this straight up 3-0. Now, instead, after the first 3 matches, we are down 1-2. That means it is going to get incredibly difficult for us. But hey, it'd be one hell of a beautiful Cinderella story. If you can just hang in there a little bit longer. This man needs to come up with something very magical, very special. On any other map, he'd be the underdog. On this one, he's a massive underdog. We are down 1-2. We need to win this, or our journey ends here. On the bottom right side, normally representing Team Liquid. Now representing the RotterdaM Admirals' hopes and dreams. It is CatZ.
And in the top left-hand side for the Shopify Rebellion and, of course, Goat and the gang, it is Lambo, the king. And talk about a Cinderella. You're going to need like all the Disney princesses here to come together and form some sort of miracle, because you gotta win this one, and then MaxPax has to beat Serral for you guys to actually make it.
That's the last one I'm not too worried about. This one is very difficult. TVZ, Pride of Otaris, but Serral has been dropping maps left, right, and center. MaxPax already took out Clem today. I'm not too worried about that 5th game, but this is going to be a very, very difficult one. Like on any map, I think TVZ against Lambo is difficult for any Terran in the world, really. Even if you're Clem or Hero Marine or one of the top tier Korean Terrans, Lambo is just an animal. And Lambo on Pride of Otaris. I really hope he had an amazing Saturday night and plenty of beers were had. And I hope he's a little slow today.
Well, the consolation here is Lambo doesn't play this map a lot, so he was actually consulting with Serral as far as like Overlord positioning and stuff like that. So you can see he's very conservative so far because he's playing like the overdog basically, right? Like he's expecting that Diego could be extra aggressive, that he could bring like Reaper proxies or something of the likes, or even just proxy barracks early on. So he's playing very conservatively, and you know, maybe that is where Diego finds or could find an edge. I'm just trying to look for your Cinderella shoe here.
Yep. I mean, Diego does have these games where he just pops off and he plays like an absolute god. And that's why people started calling him Kala God, Diego God, Dio God. We're gonna need some of that here, because this is just very hard. It's hard for any Terran on Pride to really get a whole lot done. It's just such a big map, so even if you get like a good fight, your reinforcements, it takes forever for them to show up. And meanwhile, a lot of Zerg units will pop again, and Zergs can stabilize. And if you ever lose momentum, well, Zerg can take literally any single base they want. They can also take the gold in the center. Yeah, I don't know, CatZ. I'm just hoping. I'm really sad. I wish that Hearthstone would have seen that pylon go up, that gateway go up, move that Phoenix a little bit, move the Oracle a little. So sad about the PvP.
Yeah, I mean, but at the same time, Diego playing standard is the best thing that could be happening to him so far, because Lambo has committed so much to just, again, being conservative, being defensive. Look at his vision. He scouted everywhere with his first initial circlings, and he is even going for the Overlord speed, which he also was discussing in chat. Like, he was like, should I open pool first or should I open Overlord speed? So like his two options were extremely conservative here, just to make sure that he doesn't get surprised by Diego. But Diego is doing a triple CC opening, which is kind of like the way that you get ahead against a player that's being as thorough as Lambo is.
Yeah, I don't hate it. Maybe just hope that indeed Lambo is going to play it a bit overly safe. Triple CC, not a whole lot's going to happen. That Reaper, there he is, not going to go down yet. Yes! Let's go. We're going to link kill. We're going to get a second link kill, maybe. We're going to kill Creep 2 more. We're going to have a couple of BCs pop into the main base that unfortunately have already been revealed, but it's all good. There is hope, CatZ. I see a link kill, and I start smiling. I start believing again.
Yeah, those BCs will be spotted. Lambo didn't throw like an instant roach warren or anything like that, so he doesn't really have any potential to punish it. I think his response is probably here just gonna be to make sure that he has spores ready for the BC when it can pop up, and otherwise just keep making a lot of queens and a lot of drones. He's also making 8 additional circlings for the potential Helium run by. Maybe a little bit overly conservative still, but it might pay off if Diego goes for a YOLO run by.
Oh, nice. We get not 1 but 2 creep tumors there. A bit of splash damage on one of those queens. We don't want to lose any of our Hellions if we don't need to. That Roach Warren you mentioned earlier is going down now, but that indeed just seems to be like a defensive Roach Warren for later. Worried? Is he?
Yeah.
Does he think that Diego's going to mech it up over here?
Maybe so. I mean, there's probably gonna be something like a Hellbat timing follow-up, so Roaches would be a good unit to have here. I don't know that he needs to commit to the Roaches. This can be sort of like just a safety Roach run in the early game, but we'll see what Lambo chooses to do.
Well,
and Diego is making it up.
Yeah, the extra factories are going down, so Diego is indeed meching it up. When we were getting ready for the match against Pig, we were also spreading some theories on like maybe Kalazur can play against Elaser, and even though Elaser is in really good shape and has done amazing, Kalazur said, I think with my mech, he's like, I think I can do pretty well. I don't think Elaser has the best time against mech. Now, Lambo is obviously a very smart player, and I think against mech, most importantly, it is to be smart as the first BC jumps into the natural. There is a spore there, basically jumps on top of the spire. Not really getting a whole lot done yet, but most important is that we don't lose it to something silly, and at least we can kill an Overlord.
Yeah, and I completely agree with you. I think if you throw a player like Elaser off a little bit, then sometimes he just looks a little bit lost. Like if he isn't as experienced, he will not thrive. Whereas Lambo kind of likes to think situations through a little bit more thoroughly, perhaps, and that gives him advantages against the builds that are less popular sometimes, where Miko needs that like amount of that wealth of knowledge of experience to really deal with stuff. And this BC is finding Overlords.
Yep, BC not getting too much done yet, but definitely being annoying. Transfuse is gonna save that one, but we're gonna kill another creep tumor. Maybe we can start working on that hatchery. That'd actually be kind of nice. Spire not quite done yet. CatZ tried to get lucky with a couple of Hellions in the third, but Lambo, his units were in the correct defensive positions. Got deflected and not a whole lot done. Yeah, it's not exactly the dream start. It's obviously a very playable game for CatZ, but
Yeah.
this is where the Spire is up. Now Corruptus will come online. I am at least, I guess, somewhat happy to see that Lambo is not on 4 bases fully saturated yet with 85 drones, but I guess that's just a matter of time.
Yeah, again, I think that he was over conservative, so I think he could have sped up past this early and mid game a little bit faster, but he gave CatZ a lot of credit that he could go for Hellion Rambites, that he could go for proxies, that he could do something super tricky. And I mean, this BST opener is just kind of solid and it finds damage almost no matter what. And you know, it doesn't mean that it's like broken because it's such an expensive investment that it better find some damage. But yeah, I mean, neither player really in an outstanding position, I don't think.
We've got an eBay, but I don't see any turrets yet. I really like the turrets that Maru had against Rainer on 2K. That absolutely helped keeping his battlecruisers alive a couple of times. Lambo was apparently supply blocked for a little while as well. Austin pointed it out in the Discord at 106, maybe when he was losing overlords to that battlecruiser. Perhaps that slowed him down a bit too, but yeah, none of that really matters anymore now that the gold base is up and running and we are fully saturated. This is where Lambo is going to get rich. And there just isn't really a whole lot that CatZ can do about it. At this point, I feel like we're playing that Legacy of the Void survival mission, right? And we're just gonna hang in there and try to get those mech upgrades online and slowly but steady get a terrifying mech army.
Yeah, I'm a little bit surprised that the battle cruisers aren't out on the map. I believe they have Yamato available as well, so they should be looking to trade with the Corruptors, just Yamato, a couple Corruptors, and then just pull back. But instead, he kind of just has them parked here, and you know, he's not finding the free value that those PCs can give you.
I think he was worried about getting swarmed. Maybe he felt that Lambo's economy wasn't quite as big as it could have been, and he was worried about getting a move. Well, Lambo is maxed out now, but a lot of units are still in position. That's a lot of tanks sieging up there. The tank fire needs to be on the Ravagers. And we lose one tank, but the other two tanks super low in HP, but they both survive. So they can get a few more hits off. I wouldn't hate to see a little repair on those bad boys. That is exactly what CatZ is going to do. Lambo's going to start working on the rocks, but the tanks are still in range. Planetary Fortress is going to start morphing. I think that CatZ will be able to at least get this base up and running, and then we live to fight another day.
For sure. There was perfect spacing on the tanks of CatZ there. There's, you know, sometimes like the model kind of overlaps, or it seemingly overlaps, but there isn't actually the units overlapping. So Lambo biles in between two tanks and only gets one of them, and like you said, two of them survive very bruised. So Lambo recognizes as soon as that happens that he's not gonna be able to breach this location, so he starts his hive, and we are headed towards the late game.
Lambo is now going to maneuver around, hoping that CatZ left nothing here. A couple of corrosive balls go down on the command center. CatZ very quick to cancel that. I think Lambo is actually getting a bit carried away here. He should not kill this orbital ever. He does kill a couple of tanks though. There were so many tanks just barely out of range. But I think we're going to be fine here. This shouldn't be too problematic.
It's a hold, but this was actually pretty good for Lambo, I think, because Diego really needs the economy, whereas Lambo can't afford to throw stuff. So Lambo is back to maxed and Diego isn't maxed, right? So if he can continue to find that sort of trade, eventually it only gets better when the Vipers are out. So good job by Lambo. They're probing kind of like the defenses of Diego. He said, oh, you have too many tanks on the right, I'm gonna check the left. He checks and he's able to kill enough to make it worth.
Yep, only one tank near that planetary fortress now, but we have a couple of cyclones, and they do have backfield accelerator already, so those lock-ons are going to hurt, especially on the Corruptus. CatZ had quite a bit of money in the bank after that previous skirmish. I mean, we just need to hang in there. We need to get closer to getting maxed. Make sure that we protect our tanks, keep a track of that army. The sensor tower really helping out in this one. Here we go again. Lambo looking for a great fight into all these tanks. I feel like the defensive setup of CatZ is not bad. We're going to use caustic spray here, which I think is somewhat questionable. Much better hold by CatZ this time around. The previous one wasn't bad, but could have been indeed been a bit better. This looked pretty good to me.
Yeah, I'm not sure if Lambo's intention was to trade a few units kind of inefficiently just to replace them with something like that. Not really, because he's remaking Roaches and Ravagers. So yeah, that was just a little bit of an overcommitment. Definitely a much better engagement for KatZ there, and a little bit of an overextension from Lambo, but he can easily afford it at this time.
Yeah, but he only has like 700 gas in the bank, right? So it's not like...
Yeah.
Obviously, he's got a crazy gas income, and it's not like KatZ can just counterattack and kill him, as Lambo is going to make sure KatZ cannot easily go up to 5 bases. He's going to try his luck from the bottom this time around. We'll get a couple of links on top of one tank, but I think we're going to be fine here for KatZ. I'm not hating this too much.
Yeah, not at all. Actually, that CC had Hellbats under it, so the Lynx trying to go for the tank just kind of ran into a meat grinder that they didn't realize was there. And now the VCs feel confident enough to move out a little bit. They got to be careful as there is Corruptors nearby. But Cyclones are there also to protect them. Ghosts now in production, so KatZ is also advancing in tech, as Lambo does the same thing in going for Infestors and eventual Neural Parasite.
Two upgrades finished up, by the way, for Mac, and we immediately fired up 3-3. KatZ definitely on the money. Lambo wants to get a fight while this is not a planetary fortress. A lot of tanks sieging up on the right side, though. Obviously, this is all off 3. Blinks are going to try to get on top of tanks, but that's not quite working out. Another successful hold for KatZ, as he's now feeling confident enough to hunt down a couple of these Ravagers. They're so low on HP. Hellions with Blue Flame, baby, getting the triple kill there on a few of those Ravagers. Really solid holds here by Diego, and I just feel Lambo is getting a little impatient. I feel like Lambo thinks there are openings when there really aren't any openings. The entire army is there.
Yeah, the last couple of times that has definitely been true. I think that, yeah, you pointed to what his possible reasoning was, right? Like the planetary fortress is not yet ready, so it's maybe not a super fortified position. As the scan will reveal and kill the infestor that tries to get away burrowed. A few Hellbats will fall, but this is the least of KatZ's concerns. These ghosts are dangerous. The infestors are abandoned in the middle of the map. All right, they get pulled back, but yeah.
Yamato. 2 Yamatos went down, so 2 infestors went down. The other infestor already got picked up in the center by that one Cyclone. I said no, not because of the Hellbats, but there was one Ghost all by itself. Ghosts are a bit too expensive. Queens on a very random journey. Lambo is going to lose all those queens. Now, that obviously does give him more supply to make some battle units, but where are they at this point? Like, Lambo's army is very random. 10 Ravagers, 10 Corruptors, 11 Lynx, 11 Banelings. Lambo needs way more than what he's currently working with.
He does, especially against this many tanks, but the tanks are kind of clumped up and not yet sieged, so Lambo's going to look to capitalize right now. The Neural Parasites are very good onto the key units at the front, so Lambo looks to be clearing this, ever just so barely, but barely is going to cut it by the looks of it. Almost nothing remaining on either side here after this fight.
One Thor still going strong, but the Ghosts are obviously in a bit of trouble. I don't think we have Cloaking. We do have Cloaking, and there's no Overseer. Jeez Louise, thank the Lord for that. Careful with the snipes, mate. I would like to see us survive a couple of those units. The problem with losing a mech army like that, though, is that it takes such a long time to rebuild it. It obviously took Lambo a lot to clean it up. I wish we had, like, 3 random Hellbats near the tanks. If we had 3 or 4 Hellbats near those tanks, that fight would have gone twice as good for KatZ.
I mean, this was a razor-thin margin by which Lambo holds. Sure, he has a bank, but by the end of that, he had 4 larvae. So if, a couple more key units survive for KatZ, if that siege is a little bit earlier, or if you, like you said, if there's Hellbats protecting the tanks and the Lynx aren't as effective on the cleanup, that can really snowball because whatever Remax or pseudo-Remax Lambo went for is the last that he had.
And also, once more, thank the Lord that those Ghosts had personal Cloaking, because if KatZ would have lost those 5 or 6 Ghosts towards the end, then I feel like it's going to take a very long time before we have another army that's just as scary. Couple of Lynx. I was worried they were going to nibble through all those SCVs. That's not quite working out. Lambo's going to attack with Roaches and Ravagers here, but there are way more mech units than I think he's expecting. He saw a couple of Ghosts, but it's not just the Ghosts, as we pop a few Overseers. At this point, 0 Overseers on the map. There are some Broodlords, but the Ghosts are good. Broodlord's now already working, by the way, on this base on the right side. This is where things will become a bit scrappy, and Lambo will just look to capitalize on a couple of units that are exposed, like this one Thor in the center of the map. You can be doing that, Diego. Thors are expensive.
Yeah, this Broodlord potentially on a little bit of a timer, as there aren't, but there could be Vikings in production. The Infestors now looking to maybe go for some neuroparasites to break a different position from KatZ. But
Oh,
KatZ
no
has
overseer.
nice
No
coverage
overseer.
here.
I don't see an overseer.
Nasty. There's
A couple of snipes going down. Careful, don't lose all that goes to the pain links, but well done.
That's really good, and the creep is gonna recede as well. I would love for Lambo to start mining the gas in the bottom left expansion that he has, because that is a base that should belong to KatZ eventually. So there now he saturates the gas. That's really important, because KatZ, with the position that he has in his own bottom left hand side, he can start sieging that base very soon, and so he should be able to reclaim that terrain eventually.
I mean, if this was you know, Maru, I'd be like, well, these armies are hard to kill, and so Diego is definitely channeling his inner Maru, but I feel like with most ordinary Terran players, we often see a couple good fights, but then there's always that one moment where the ghosts do get caught, and they all get picked off, but Diego is doing a phenomenal job so far, and hopefully he can continue going full Maru. I feel like Lambo, he's a little impatient. He's desperately looking for that one big victory, but sometimes there is no one big victory to be gained. He is now going to try to get on top of these tanks in the top left side, but the Broodlords are a little bit exposed. Couple snipes, unfortunately, don't go off because of the fungal.
Very good fungals here. Yeah, onto a lot of the units here that are going to be clumped up. And yeah, Lambo's just looking for opportunities to poke in and test the defense of Diego over and over again. And Diego has had a wonderful defense so far, but the Broodlords do find some damage there, right? So Lambo's going to continue to do that. He's going to continue to just try from side to side and see where Diego's weak and try to capitalize there. Diego has done a good job. Can he continue to do that? As, yeah, I mean, this Roach is just suicide.
Losing a couple SCVs, not even that big of a deal. Obviously, don't want to lose too many. Final Roach is going to get picked off as well. Do you feel that KatZ can do something about that base at 2 o'clock, the one that Lambo has on the top right side? I feel like if we have just a tank, that tank will almost be in range with that spine crawler already, and then at least he will never mind the minerals, which he's not doing at the moment anyway. That feels that we can put some pressure on that base maybe.
I think so. I think either of the bases on the edge, KatZ can maybe put some pressure on. Maybe he needs a little bit more of a PF setup or something of the likes, maybe some Liberators on either side or something like that, so that he can have the rest of his army elsewhere and just kind of pushing on forward, as good EMPs are going to prevent fungals from landing onto this ghosts. The ghosts are pretty bruised, but the Broodlords will run away regardless, as the Thors are a great threat here.
Well, we saved the planetary, but it got very close. KatZ was a little bit out of position for that one. We are slowly but steady working on better upgrades for those ghosts as well, but that's not the most important thing. We just want to make sure that they stay alive, have a lot of energy, and that the ghost positioning is perfect. There's a few more SCVs run into the meat grinder. Lambo has, I think, done a very good job in realizing that the third base is kind of the one that's wide open. KatZ does a great job at protecting those planetaries on the right and bottom left. But now the third is wide open, and at this point there is no SCV left there anymore. But we are getting closer and closer to maxing out, as a nuke went down on the right side too. Yeah, if KatZ is just patient with the ghosts and doesn't do anything crazy, doesn't expose them, he's got a terrifying army.
He sure does, and if we look at resources lost, it's already KatZ in the lead as he pushes on this location that we were expecting what's going to happen at some point in the game. The ghosts get wonderful snipes onto the Broodlords. Here comes the fungal a little bit late, and a lot of those ghosts already bruised up. Only one Medevac to heal them up. Means that a lot of them are going to go down. 2 Thors exposed at the front. They're going to turn 500 resources swing per Thor. So that's 1,000 resources that Lambo acquires for the duration of this fight, and that's going to allow him to turn this around.
What?
And probably hold.
How are they still alive? Oh my goodness, I cannot believe it. That looked so dicey for a split second, but those Thors were absolutely invincible. The ghost surviving 2 in the back, so that hatchery is taking a little bit of damage. One ghost does get surrounded by Lynx. Please chill a little bit. Diego's got a sick army, 114 army supply, but I'm glad to see a couple of Medevacs show up, because those ghosts have seen things at this point. They've been deep behind enemy lines a couple of times. Taking out that base on the left is big. We kept our planetary alive. Man, what a fight. That looked actually really dicey at one point, but wow, they just didn't die. Nothing died.
Yeah, they just didn't die. That would have been a good point for Lambo to have the extra larva and to reinforce with things like Zerglings, but he has been struggling on that front, so he chooses to make extra Broodlords. If we look at the larva count, it's always really low. Now at 18 actually is the highest I've seen it, but after that fight it was at like under 10. And he only has 3 queens as well to replenish, so he has to be careful with his links. Can't be too wasteful. Getting a planetary fortress would be nice, and getting SCVs at this point is starting to stack up because KaiLaSer has lost so many over the course of the last few minutes.
I was like, don't lose any ghosts, and he picks up the 2 ghosts that would have gone down. But yeah, losing a planetary and 17 SCVs. I don't want to say it's the end of the world, but like you said, it is adding up. It is also adding up when it comes to creating an absolutely terrifying army. What do you feel about Lambo just going more and more Broodlords? Do you believe that Broodlord Infestor is the way to eventually get that one decisive game-winning fight for Lambo? Or is he just running into a brick wall right now of an invincible Terran army?
I mean, it really comes down to positioning from KaiLaSer as well, because with this army, you need to get the neuroparasites onto the Thors. The Thors need to be exposed at the front, and you need to get them. But you have 2 answers that are very good to the Broodlords. If there is no fungal onto the Ghosts, Snipe destroys Broodlords. And if there is anything other than neuroparasite that is uninterrupted onto the Thors absolutely destroy Broodlords as well. So I would at least like to see like a Viper or 2 from Lambo so that he can use the blinding cloud onto the Thors and disengage if needed.
It is always a bit hard, right, to complicate or to control these armies properly in a very complicated late game Zerg spellcaster army while also having very slow main units. It's a bit easier to play that very swarmy style. But Lambo's gonna try his luck one more time with the Brutes and the Infestors. KaiLaSer has now established his own gold base. Obviously those refineries haven't even been touched yet, but it's more about some minerals at this point. I think we can kind of sacrifice that base on the right side, sure. A couple minerals left, but who really cares about that? Let's just make sure that we get our army in a good spot as he gets into the center apple. All those ghosts are leading the charge. I'm so worried, man.
Yeah, that's a really good trade for KaiLaSer, right? Because he loses a base that was mostly mined out and takes one of Lambo's freshest bases, and that's the second one that he's taken in the last little bit. So this attack looks extremely difficult to stop, and Lambo can't really afford to give up more terrain. So I'm not sure what he does from here. He has a lot of infestors, but
he's going for it. He's setting up this front. He has a couple of links come well. Very excited for like the 12 link sandwich, but the rest of the army decided against it. So
this looks pretty awful, to be honest. I mean, yeah, like KaiLaSer is just ravaging through everything that Lambo has right now. These infestors need to find a dream engagement somehow, some way.
It's never over till it's over. We have a Raven in the mix too. Could once more be annoying. That auto turret was pretty clutch in the previous fight. Never thought an auto turret would be clutch in the bottom left side of fight of Altares. But we're gonna go for a big anti-armor missile this time around.
Here we go.
This is it.
Baneling's looking to connect onto the Ghost. They're not gonna make it past the wall of Thors. Here come the extra neuroparasites, and a lot of the units in the front actually do get taken down. Diego is trying to snipe those infestors desperately and does get a few of them, but not before the Thors in the front output enough damage for this to be a close-ish fight. Still, Diego stands tall, and I don't think that there's any resupplying that Lambo can do here to stop this. It looks very, very difficult.
He's going to remax on a lot of links, roaches that could potentially clean this up, as the one of the Thors is very low on HP. Like if Lambo gets all of the units that he was just producing in one place immediately, he can definitely take out 4 Thors, a tank, and a couple of gulls. But there is a Medevac. It's 2 tanks were misrallied. I mean, it's close, but we don't have any of those Neurals to worry about anymore. The Infestors use all of their energy, and Lambo's losing important base after important base. Medevac could maybe save that Thor. Nope. We're gonna play it safe.
Yeah, this is not looking good for Lambo at all. Even if this army gets cleaned up, it's now KaiLaSer who's gonna be pretty much in the economic lead. He has less workers, but he has a lot more real estate, and he has the power of the mules as well on his side of things. So KaiLaSer is basically gonna surround whatever army.
Wow! What a god!
The game, jeez.
What a god! You want some epic games, cats? KaiLaSer comes in clutch in the playoffs and wins a 26-minute game against Lambo. Macking it up, ghosting it up, man. 2 of these fights, I had no idea what was happening. I was like, is it good? Is it good? And then it looks bad, but then nothing dies. It's like, man, +3 armored Thors, baby. Pretty good. Ghosts in the back, pretty good. Unbelievable. Wow. Sick. I can't believe it.
Yeah, I mean that was a really good army composition from KaiLaSer. Not even getting really. I find the Liberators with range are kind of like the only thing that he could have added. But otherwise, I think that Ghost Mech is very, very strong, and I'm a little bit surprised that Lambo didn't really have a clear answer there. I still would have loved. Yeah, it's difficult to control the Vipers, but Blinding Cloud is so very good. against clumps of Thors if you're going to be using Broodlords as your main answer. I do think that the larva restriction was a problem for Lambo in that game where he was running low on larva, and maybe that's why he felt forced to make so many Broodlords onto that many Thors. But yeah, I don't know. Maybe he was, I don't know. Maybe he was just hoping for the Nerve Parasites to stick somehow, but in a sea of ghosts, I don't know how that happens without Kalasaur messing up.
I want to take another look at that one fight we had in the bottom left side down that ramp in that awkward little corner where it felt that it wasn't going that well for Kalasaur as he lost a couple of ghosts in the beginning of the fight. Then a few of the Thors got neuraled. And at one point you're like, it's bad, but that one little auditor actually did a pretty good job in tanking. Then the ghosts got a couple of snipes off. Eventually the neurals ran out, so we got a couple of our Thors back. Wow, that was one hell of a game. What a performance by Kalasaur. And that means that we go to our decider match. Old Blood versus New Blood. Washed Up versus Peking. This is it, matey. Can't wait.
Yeah. I mean, that fight that you're talking about, it really was good for Lambo in some ways, but it was the furthest away base, right? So he couldn't have the ability to like reinforce as quickly as he would have liked, and the reinforcements is usually what ends up clearing that. So it looked good while the Neuroparasites were hanging there, but he didn't have enough damage output to really clear the army while the Thors were turned against Diego. So yeah, really sad. Still, I mean, it's the GOAT, so, you know, we're good.
Yeah, but the GOAT 4 and 3 in the regular season, not quite GOAT-y things. I think the GOAT is taking a holiday, mate. Is he playing these games from a golf course, or is he actually at home?
I mean, I guess you'll have to wait and find out when the GOAT shows up here. As in the top right-hand side of the map, the reigning, defending, undisputed world heavyweight champion, the GOAT, the greatest player to ever play this game. It is Serral.
What is a GOAT to a royalty? In the bottom left side, we are looking at the main base of the man who's gonna send us into the grand finals of the CatZ Civil War. Outside of this tournament, representing Storm Gaming, he is the Prince of Denmark, representing the RotterdaM Admirals, MaxPax.
Talking about the imaginary Prince of Denmark when we're talking about a man that dines with the King of Finland, you know, on a regular basis.
Yeah, but doesn't have the same blood though. All right. No, it's obviously I'm joking. You know that I love Yona as much as you love Yona. Serral is amazing, and watching him finally lift the trophy in Katowice just a couple weeks, well, 2 months ago, 1 month ago, was amazing. Obviously sad for Rainer, but Serral deserved it. He's been working so hard for it, and his resume is nothing but spectacular. But MaxPax has defeated him before. Not very often, but he has done it before. And MaxPax also said that he doesn't mind 2K atmosphere all that much. He kind of feels it's okay. We saw Serral in a little bit of trouble against Hero on this map. Also lost his killers in the tournament, so I definitely have hopes no matter how great Serral is.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, yeah, again, the match against Kilos, I think it was Serral being overconfident, and Hero did trick him like really hard. MaxPax, I think, is the type of player that, while he is very creative and very intelligent in the way that he mechanizes his own strategy, he doesn't have that bag of tricks, that adaptability that Hero has, to where he can really play the mind games with Serral. I think MaxPax, you know, he's just gonna go for his error game and play as normal as possible. And in that realm, I mean, you just can't touch Serral.
The bag of tricks. What do you mean? I had a conversation with MaxPax last night. He shared his screen. I saw Hero sliding in those DMs. He's like, please, MaxPax, give me another build or two. Without your creativity, I am just another ordinary Korean Protoss player. MaxPax is the god of creativity. He's the transcendent. He doesn't follow anyone. He's got trick after trick, mate. But at one point, you become so good, rely on those tricks anymore. And we're gonna kick things off with a Twilight Council. So a while ago, I would have said like, okay, maybe MaxPax is gonna do this Resonating Glaive adapting into the Robo follow-up and then maybe a Disruptor drop, but I don't know if he's still very fond of that. So it could just be straight up adapts. Mate, I'm so excited for this. This is awesome.
Was there? Okay, yeah. I would think it's resonating, right? Like, or do you think he's gonna go DT?
Yeah, I think Glaives.
Okay, yeah.
Straight up DT seems so wild to me.
So yeah, Glaives hasn't been started yet, so not exactly perfect timing here from MaxPax.
Oh, it is a dark
DTs. Okay, so I mean, he's putting on the hat of a trickster a little bit. I think that most of the boys of the Goat and the gang were expecting that MaxPax does like his glaive timings. So a little bit of a switcheroo, you know?
Yeah.
That's good.
That Overlord of Serral is really annoying though. Like, it's not in range yet, but I have a hard time imagining that Serral is not going to move that Overlord in the next 20 seconds. So this is not going to hit as a surprise. But, you know, the good news about this opening is that it doesn't need to straight up kill your opponent. You can just be a proper nuisance, and maybe MaxPax feels that he's got that Warp Prism control on lockdown, he's got the Archon and Res on lockdown. So Serral so far actually not moving it yet.
No, he checked. Oh, yeah, he just checked
sorry.
and he saw it.
Yeah. Man, it was such a good spot that he had to move it like 1 inch. He's like, oh, okay.
Yeah. I mean, he knew where the buildings could be and moves it back right away. So he knows, and MaxPax doesn't know that he knows, which is good. Because if MaxPax knows that he knows, then he can just morph the. Oh, okay. Now MaxPax knows that he knows. But so MaxPax now should maybe just morph the Archons right away instead of trying to make a go with the DTs. Unless
maybe we can fight in between the bases, deny the creep a little, but MaxPax obviously needs to be very careful. I think he wants to get a couple hits up, and now he sees the Sport Crawler. Don't go for that Sport Crawler. What? Whoa. Okay, pick up, please, mate. I hate this. Okay, fine. I know it's fine, but one misclick and our entire tournament life is done. So, okay, but this is all fine. We are supply blocked, though. Not for too long, but for a couple seconds.
Yeah, and these Archons, again, like, because he was spotted, if he gave Serral the credit to say, okay, like, you spotted me, maybe he felt like he got spotted too late, right? Because otherwise he should have just morphed this like 20 seconds earlier, and that can be a lot more powerful. Now the first roaches of Serral are on the field, so he's gonna have a much easier time deflecting this.
Couple of links being annoying in the bottom side of the map, catching a couple of these probes that are already long distance mining. Serral's still on 3 bases, of course, and it is something that is hopefully going to stay like this for a little while longer. This is where the Warp Prism can come in really handy. I'd love to see an Observer. I think the Observer is making its way towards the top side of the map. Now we're just trying to get some Archon hits up. The Roach is very clumped up there. Serral not splitting them at all. Little washed up. Huh?
I mean, that's okay. He saved them all with Immaculate Micro, and he can morph those into Ravagers later on.
Kill 2 more.
Screen won't even go down.
Kill 2 more.
And this Archon's running out of juice. One of the Archons is already pretty weak, so MaxPax has to be pretty careful here. Infestation Pit is going to be the follow-up for Serral. I wouldn't have minded seeing something like Aspire as well if he really was worried about the Warp Prism. But Serral don't care about the Warp Prism. He's already...
the Infestation Pit?
I'm not sure. We'll have to find out.
Do you think he's gonna go Swarm Host? Oh, don't lose the Observer. Okay, good.
It could be, right? It could be Swarm Hosts, because the other thing that it could be is... yeah, I mean, it pretty much has to be Swarm Hosts. Maybe Fungal if he anticipates that there's a lot of Zealots, but it's not a response that I ever see. Instead, he goes for a very fast Hive, so maybe anticipating that there's a follow-up with Disruptors and Colossus or something of the likes and wants to get Vipers out. Oh, Hydra then.
So he just wants to get the Lurkers down the line, Lurker Viper. But, I mean, I don't hate this for MaxPax at this point. We're only done a couple of workers. Fourth hatchery is still not done. I think we've done a pretty decent job in pushing back the creep. He's going to warp in one Brave DT somewhere to keep the third safe. I guess he's going to send this DT maybe towards the top side, trying to deny a hatchery if there's a hatchery going up there. But this push right now, like, if creep, I think MaxPax's army is really good, like really good. On creep, we need to be very careful. Off creep, our army is excellent.
Yeah, our army supply in favor of Serral, but like you said, MaxPax has the ability to micro off of creep here with the blink. Did spend his force fields already. Some of the stalkers a little bit too adventurous, perhaps. Serral is mostly going to be able to hold his ground here. Over micro on one of those Archons is going to mean less DPS from MaxPax during the fight, and Serral deflects. And with the setup that Serral has going into the late game, deflecting this attack as easily as it was is great news for us.
Yeah, I feel that MaxPax made life very hard on himself there with the Archon still stuck in the War Prism. That one blink forward was a bit adventurous.
Yeah.
He's gonna try to rally one Brave DT into the natural of Serral, so we're gonna get a couple of drone kills here, maybe 4. Oh no, we're not paying attention.
All right, another poke here looking to distract for the DT to do damage, but the DT walked in first, so Serral was already looking at that. And this is the army that can't wait to be microed, whereas against the DT, the drones can't really wait, right? Because they start falling right away. So this is nice for Serral, and maybe mistiming from MaxPax, right? Like maybe he wanted to move with this army first and the DT second instead.
I think MaxPax definitely feeling the pressure a little bit. He also mentioned earlier in the Discord that he was definitely feeling very nervous for some of these games, and I think you can see it there. That wasn't the best Blink Stalker micro and just army movement and positioning that I've ever seen out of him. So I think he's feeling the pressure. This game is not over by any means. I mean, he's actually up 8 workers. Of course, once lurkers get out, it gets a bit more problematic, especially if both the lurker upgrades finish up, but did we lose our observer there, by the way, towards the end? Yeah, we did. So now we can't push back the creep. That's very frustrating.
Yeah, and MaxPax doesn't really have a strong transition, right? Like, he was very committed to this first push, doing a little bit more. Like, even if he had killed the 4th of Serral, I wouldn't have been freaking out because Serral had to take advantage. But as it stands, it's Serral pushing confidently off of creep, and he has a massive tech lead where MaxPax just doesn't really have anything, right? Like, there's no Templars, there's no
Zealots. We have Zealots.
There's no nothing.
We have Zealots running into the natural.
Oh, that's a lot of Zealots, actually. Wow.
Yep. But we need to avoid those lurkers. We need to now move away from those lurkers. So we get one queen, we get the second queen. Let's run into the main base. At the same time, we're still pushing with Stalkerinos. Zealots, Stalkerinos, Archon blinks forward, moves. Picks off one lurker. We lose the observer. No! No, okay, we have an observer. MaxPax is heavily down in supply, but I still feel like he was doing all right over here.
Yeah.
I don't think we're getting too much done. Careful with the Immortal. Let's not lose the Immortal. We have extra Zealots showing up. We have a bit of money in the bank. Oh, imagine this fight with 10 extra Zealots.
I mean, this is still looking kind of dicey here. That was super close of a hold, actually, from Serral, I think. And you were saying careful with the Immortal, and I was also thinking careful with the Immortal because it was mostly roaches on the side of Serral that were fighting there. So barely hold, and yeah, the supply can be a little bit deceiving here. MaxPax does have an economic lead, and Serral does have pretty supply-intensive units.
We get a second Robo, we don't have a Robo Bay yet. Now we're getting a Templar Archives as well. I kind of wish that was a Robo Bay instead of a Templar Archives. Because I think at this point, man, against 4-base Serral, that obviously doesn't have unlimited gas, as War Prism is flying into double spore.
Oh,
okay, it lives. It dies. It lives. It's stuck.
It died? Oh, yeah. It lives.
Yeah, I wish that we got some Disruptors, man. I think Disruptors would be so damn good here. But the fact that Serral is still on 4 bases gives me a lot of hope. No, MaxPax, chill, mate. Why are we so hyper-aggressive? I feel like he's playing it like he's a 3-base Protoss. It's all in. Well, he's actually doing such a great job economically. I just wish we had something that's better against Lurkers right now than the army we currently have.
Yeah, I think he wants to play Zerg against the Zerg, right? He's looking to swarm with very basic units on either front and just kind of do sell-out run-bys, and his activity on the map, I think, can kind of justify that because he's cleared all the creeps. So Serral's going to be playing in the dark as far as like where MaxPax is coming from. And that's a difficult thing to do with lurkers. But if the lurkers are in position, I mean, MaxPax just cannot fight Serral's army head on.
Serral off creep here with a very tiny army. MaxPax not quite aware. Man, Serral, oh, we have one observer there. But even without the observer, we can easily A-move that army. Like, that army is nothing. Obviously, reinforcements are on the way. Let's go, MaxPax. Let's go before the rest of the army is there. So we're going to get a good fight against the roaches. We pick up a lurker. Now it's time to pull back a little bit to the set of defenses. We still have an army in the top side where I think we're going to try...
Nice! A couple of freebie Immortals there. So that's really nice for Serral, who's now going to collapse onto the 5th of MaxPax. Remember, it's the economic advantage mostly that MaxPax has to work with here. So Serral with aggression kind of defending in the south. And with just a lurker setup defending his triangle.
Yeah, it's a bit of a shame. I think that could have gone a bit better, but MaxPax did also get a kill on that hatchery. MaxPax now looks at this army. It's not the biggest army ever. Another observer taking a lot of damage, fortunately does live. Still a random army in the center of the map. MaxPax needs to be very careful with those Blink Stalkers as they are low on HP. They're very low on HP. There's 2 fights happening at the same time. Fight at the bottom side of the map is kind of even.
Nice. Yeah, but now it's Hydras against Stalkers and Immortals. That's not going to be pretty for MaxPax as the Zealots recede. And there's still 2 Lurkers left there. That was not a random army, Roddy. That was by design. Serral was in the perfect location. Because if MaxPax is allowed through that corridor, he can collapse with both sides of his army onto Serral, right?
MaxPax has 3 Stalkers and an Immortal in the center of the map. That Immortal is most likely going to go down unless we can avoid Lurk. Wow, that's cool. Blocking. Warcraft 3 blocking there by Serral. You gotta love seeing that. Good unit movement. First Vipers are on the way now too. Man, I am so sad that we went for the Templar Archives over the Robobay. I really think a Robobay would have been godlike. I think MaxPax is going to be forced to cancel this base, but hopefully we can max out one more time. We do have +3 attack, by the way, and that is kind of big.
That is kind of big. Serral is working on his own +3 attack, but it's going to hit a little bit later than MaxPax is, as his is already on the field. Lurkers moving forward. This army from Serral is terrifying. I don't think that MaxPax can fight it, but MaxPax knows that he should be looking for some sort of a base.
Oh, what?
He's starting late. Oh, this is game ending. Bro,
What?
the Lurkers and we win.
He recalls, he has battery overcharge, there is a cannon, but that is such a crazy recall. What did we just do there? What is... No.
Yeah, that was a gift. I mean, yeah, recalling into the Lurkers is just about the worst thing he could have done, but maybe he felt pressured because he had the Templar Archives and one of his robots there exposed as well. He's gonna go for the counterattack with the rest of his army, and yeah, Serral just has to do cleanup duty now.
What's the lurker count at? We are looking at 7 lurkers. There are a couple of immortals. Serral might be worried that there is Storm, but I don't think there is Storm. We do have Blink DT, Zealots and Immortals. Immortals getting some good shots off on the lurkers. And now the Hydra struggling a little bit, but at the same time, MaxPax is losing so much at home.
Yeah, and Serral must have realized by now that there isn't Storm. The Vipers are available as well if he wants to abduct at this point. I guess Immortals is the best target that he has. The feedback is going to be there actually, so that's pretty nice. The DTs are available, but not enough. And Serral is going to close it out as expected. Goat and the gang. Well fought, Roddy. Final words are all yours. The floor is yours.
Well, first of all, mate, congratulations, of course, to you and your team for making it into the grand finals of this fantastic tournament.